So speaking of big business versus small business, Shen, as founder of FoodX, you fund small startup companies. That's your fund is mission-based. And what you were telling me earlier was that, part of your mission, the fund's mission is not to try to make a quick profit. You are willing to delay, looking at seeing a return on investment for 10 to 15 years. And that gives you a flexibility to maybe take a chance on, I think I use the word riskier companies, but you have a better definition of it. Like, give me a thumbnail of like how you invest in companies that are trying to do better for the agriculture and the environment and food.
Yeah. I mean, I know this is a private conversation, so my partners are not listening, so it's not about profit. But you're right. I mean, it's the secret sauce is very simple. I mean, I'll wear my investor hat, which is kind of surreal to me because I come from a strong student movement, social movement background as exile from Tiananmen, and I guess half the room this is before your time, but it's a Chinese thing. I'm actually a lot older than I look. But and then even more recently, as a part of the media and organization working group in Zuccotti Park, it's Occupy, global Occupy phenomenal movement. I mean, it's that the main thing. I mean, just to address before I answer specifically Tim's question, just to address our opening speaker that defined this democratizing innovation. Right? I mean, for me, it's a matter of bringing the movement mentality into the business innovation aspects of this food movement. That's how we FoodX. And the Assets Venture, which is the evergreen fund behind FoodX, that plan to feed this movement, and partly because they are visionaries and the cultural leaders, and the NGOs have done tremendous amount of work, events like this, that have not only would raise awareness and generate a lot of facts and deep-seated and very solid research, and which is precursor to this really the groundswell, this bottom-up change that the consumers, I mean, our signal is this: the consumers, the eaters and families, they're reading labels. They're finally seriously, they may not find what they need to find out. They're still wondering, they're still doing the wrong things, and at least they think they're not doing the right things, but they're seriously looking for alternatives. Because before that, I mean, it's not news. I mean, for innovators and investors, when you look at a big market, 1.4 trillion is kind of an understatement because where you draw the line. But 1.4 trillion is significant. That's food and beverage in this country alone, right? And you look at, you know this number. This is audience that already knows this number, that 4 to 8 oranges today equal to 1 50 years ago in nutrients, right? And each calorie takes 17 calories. In Europe, it's about 12 calories to produce, and 30 to 45% food waste. And generally, you look at globally, right? 25% of the population are fed roughly by industrial food system that takes about 3/4, 75% of resource. The reverse is true, that the other 75% of world population are fed by independent and family farmers that only use a quarter, 25% roughly of the world resource. So you're talking about huge inefficiencies. So when you have that, you have a real business opportunity. And that's where the business engine comes in. So in addition to cultural changes and a lot of policy changes, I think that's another area we couldn't work on. We don't want to be awful on 12 things. We want to be good on one thing, right? But in this town, it's worth to mention, I think, to that extent, the university and Danny are doing great work, hopefully, continually, to influence that. But even in that area, you have the soda tax and all that. But that's very encouraging. And in the direct social movement space, when you see the potato workers protest, the fast food workers, I mean, those are real gains, even though they're small steps. So, but we believe because of the huge inefficiency and because of this little guys, I mean, the individual consumers and families and innovators and hardworking farmers and entrepreneurs. So democratizing that is the business engine aspect, is to really empower them to be able to self-determine, right? So that's basically the broad thesis, not the investment thesis. The investment thesis is this. On the macro level, you see that inefficiency, and then you see the consumers, this is not a representative democracy here. This is direct democracy because we eat, every one of us eat, right? So you're voting every time you eat something, right? So you have a real behavior change that calling for an alternative. That's where the opportunity is. And how to realize that? Two very basic things, right? One, the current fund model end up investing only in late stage food companies. So that end up not changing the industry. That's opportunistic. You have really interesting concept, Whole Food and even Starbucks, I mean, whether you like the product or not. I mean, those are exciting new lifestyle food concept. But you look at 30 years or longer, right? The industry is not changing. We're getting fatter and hungrier, you know, and sicker, right? So you need a lot longer time frame. And we can afford to do this because we're evergreen fund and we don't have investors. It's our own money, the six people partnership. Right, so our time horizon is 10 to 15 years. We invest, starting from last year, we made 19 investments now. We invest 20 companies minimum. And then, so with our time horizon, that's 200 up to 500 companies. So we have a portfolio approach, right? Based on that, two things happen, right? One, we're actually investing in the little guys that actually have a chance to get to a point where a lot of late stage food investment can invest in with a real alternative, not just another Me Too or slight concept change, right? And second thing is that because we have such a vast number that planned, we can invest in triple bottom line companies. You know, FoodX itself, most of our companies, one of them are here, DC-based, Green Knees, right there, Vanessa. Right? We're benefit corporation. Actually, two of them, I'm proud to say, in the last group of 10 companies that just graduated from FoodX Center are actually certified B Corps, right? The reason is not because we see, oh, they absolutely can do well by doing good. They may or may not. We're investing in two things. One is these are good teams that understand both sides of the equation, that you can do well by doing good. And so, like all good entrepreneurs, they will pivot. They will change to something maybe purely nonprofit, maybe something else. But more importantly, is the ecosystem we're investing. We're not food tech. We're not just, we made our money in tech, let's apply to food, another gadget, another app. Nothing wrong with that, right? But we're food as a food ecosystem. So companies like those triple bottom line companies are able to provide not just human environment among our founders, but also a functional ecosystem to make our other companies better. At the end of the day is this, right? If we know what the true innovation looks like now, it's probably not true innovation. So I have the general trajectory. We have the customers, you know, purely from a business perspective, wanting alternatives. We empower the little guys to be able to have access to early stage capital, but multiple stage of early stage capital with a decade or longer time horizon. So something may happen. We're learning more. We're learning as much from our entrepreneurs as our high-power mentor network are teaching them. So that's basically the formula.
Well, so I think you raised an interesting point. Like, if you can't know what innovation looks like now, how do you know what companies to invest in? Like, what are you looking at? What are the criteria for potential companies to invest in now?
Yeah, we have 17 filters. I mean, this gets a kind of methodical, but the idea is actually simple. It's most bizarre that it's very hard to reconcile doing good, doing well by doing good. But in this, there's this times, right? I mean, it's like a perfect storm. There's this moment where usually historical, a major historical event, often disastrous historical event that create completely new way of behavior, therefore new set of businesses, right? But this is one of those times, even though we don't have a single event yet, this is one of those times where it converged fairly well. This is this is about the only movement I've been deeply participated in that is actually a happy movement, because I can actually see the finish line. Because our mission filters, there are 5 mission filters, and there are 11 business filters and one about just cohort learning. And that they actually, after making the first round of investment, becomes businessly more relevant. So here is the direct answer, right? So we're looking for systemically disruptive ideas. So they're specifically looking at the current industrial food system practices and how to make those systems obsolete. I mean, one example just I mean, it's actually a smaller example, but Tom, I think from last panel from 4P or P4. I mean, that's an idea that you know, it's just one of our investment. That is, we call it super CSA because it transforms CSAs in two ways. One is 12 months. So it's not just you change behavior for 7 months, you go back to the modern consumer economy, right? I mean, 5 months from grocery store. It's 12 months, but it's also produce and proteins and value add. So frozen, cured, and all that. All of this, I mean, talking about inefficiency, right? I mean, 1,500 miles, we know this, right? 1,500 miles behind each food item in the United States, right? So Next Organics, this company, Brooklyn-based, is sourcing within 100, at most 150 miles, and in comparison, some more mature company like Fresh Direct, that's 300 miles. So you know the efficiency is there, and with enough time, that's a kind of system when it's 12 months, year-round, protein and produce and frozen value-add product alternative. That's a real full alternative, and that kind of idea is the stuff we're looking for. Not you know, 3D printer for food, and it's great, you know, and a gadget for, you know, we have those companies. I mean, a gadget for a sous vide cooker that's a circulator, you know, kitchen, great, right? But that's not systemically disrupting. It's inspired, right? But it's those kind of somewhat boring from technology perspective, but from the food and lifestyle perspective, it's a game changer.